I think we're live. Hey guys, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to everyone all around the world. My name is Reggie, and today we're gonna have a live coaching session brought to you by the Freedom Geek. So today we are going to talk about a few different topics relating to the virtual assistant job, where we answer a lot of common questions, common concerns from people who are aspiring virtual assistants, as well as people who are already virtual assistants. So we got a lot to talk about today. Um, we did, however, send a form where people can send in their questions. So it's not too late to do that. But also, since we're live, we might as well just comment them down below. So make sure to comment it wherever you're watching this, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, and or YouTube. We'll try our best to answer them as soon as we can. But for now, we do have some common questions that we pulled out from the form, along with our Facebook group. And speaking of our Facebook group, we have one that is super successful. I just want to give a quick shout out to it. We are now currently at 4.7 thousand members. So yay for us. And if you guys are interested in being a virtual assistant, we have lots of resources in our Facebook group. And so, yeah, check it out. Make sure to take advantage of it. It is free. So go ahead and join this link down below. And once you guys have explored all our resources and you think you're ready to become a virtual assistant, make sure to send your applications right here as well. Um, awesome. So I'm going to give a few more seconds for that to display, and we're going to move on. 3, 2, and 1. All right, cool. So, like I said, we are going to have a coaching session. So basically, this is like a Q&A type of live stream, but at the same time, we are also going to answer some, or rather go through some things or talk about some things that are a little more on the advice type of live stream, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, let's get to it. So, for the people who are watching now, the two people that are currently watching, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And for the people who are going to watch this later today or maybe the next day, thank you for watching still. Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen right here. And today we're going to talk about 6 main topics. One would be transitioning to becoming a virtual assistant. 2 would be talking about the skills and qualifications. 3, courses. 4, common VA tools, interview and job applications, and finally, new job anxiety. So real juicy at the last part. So let's get started. So when it comes to transitioning from your current job to being a virtual assistant, it can be a bit difficult. And I'm sure all of you guys have dealt with this, not just in transitioning to a virtual assistant, but pretty much any job that you've come from to transitioning to another. So there's a lot of anxiety that comes through it, a lot of things that you have to consider. So obviously that's the first thing that you do, is to make sure that you evaluate your current situation. Is being a virtual assistant something that you really want to do? Yeah, and there are a lot of things that you also have to take into consideration. For instance, what does it entail? What do you think virtual assistants do? What is it going to do for me and my future and my lifestyle? So all of that has to do with doing your own research as well. So you want to make sure you do that. You want to be able to gain a lot of knowledge about being a virtual assistant, which I am going to impart today. So don't worry about it. But also, do your research outside of this live as well, just to gain a bit more. Next is to identify what kind of virtual assistant you can be. So there are a lot of different type of VAs. Most of them would be, doing a lot of the basic tasks that VAs do now, like data entry, social media, email management, and so on. There are a lot of different things that you can join in, especially when it comes to your own experiences as well. Some people have come from the BPO. Some people have come from an accounting background. So lots of people are welcome to transition to being a virtual assistant. It doesn't really matter what experience you have in the past, so long as it is experience. That's good enough. And for the people who are actually employees before, or people who just graduated and didn't have a job at all, or don't have any job experience. Nothing to worry about. You don't necessarily have to have a lot of job experience. Honestly, job uh, VAs right now, or successful VAs, again, you don't really have to have specific experience on anything. The most important thing is you have the necessary skills that a VA has to have, and we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. And lastly, when it comes to transitioning, obviously, whether you're coming from an office job, or yeah, basically an office job, or from school, you have to make sure you consider your work from home setup. So you have to consider your location. Is it something that's accessible to a fast internet connection? Speaking of internet connection, you also have to have I think having a fiber connection is really great, but as long as you have 10 mbps both upload and download speed, that's good enough for the job. Equipment as well, you want to make sure you have your laptop or computer that can handle a lot of heavy tools. As a VA, you are going to handle different applications, different tools throughout the day, because you're going to be handed different tasks. So you have to make sure that your computer can handle all that software. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So in order for you to transition to being a virtual assistant, you have to make sure you consider all of it. And I think one of the examples of considering your situation is the commute. I think most people would like to be a virtual assistant because they want to cut the commute out of their daily routine. Also, spend more time with their family. So that's one of the most common things that people consider the most when transitioning to become a virtual assistant. So ask yourself that question: why do you want to be a virtual assistant? What do you think is in it for you? So awesome. We've talked about transitioning. Now let's go to what actually makes a good virtual assistant. So there are four things, and Imogen, my boss from the Freedom Geek. Just a quick break. I am from the Freedom Geek. The Freedom Geek is a virtual assistant outsourcing company that helps struggling entrepreneurs dealing with their business. So we make sure we provide them the best VAs possible in the Philippines. So quick shout out there. Anyway, talking about my boss, Imogen, she did a live in our Facebook group about a couple weeks ago, and she mentioned the necessary or the must-have skills that a virtual assistant should have. And she said, honestly, you don't really need a lot of different skills, a lot of different experiences with any job that's out there. You all have to be these four things, and one of them would be to be enthusiastic. You want to make sure that you are excited to become a virtual assistant. You have to make sure that you have the energy. You have to make sure you're interested in pretty much helping out an entrepreneur dealing with their business, because at the end of the day, entrepreneurs in their business, it's pretty much their baby. And so what they're essentially going to do is they're going to hand you that baby, and you're basically going to be the babysitter. So essentially, you are going to take care of their baby. Hopefully, you don't drop it. But yeah, that's pretty much what you're going to do. You're going to be responsible for what they've created, and that's what you have to be. You have to be enthusiastic about doing that. Second is, of course, your oral and written communication skills. It's really important that you're able to communicate with your clients. Now, when we communicate with our clients, we have to make sure that they understand us and we understand them. So that's the whole gist of being able to have good communication with your client, and also to have a good working relationship with them. Um, Third, you have to make sure that you're a quick thinker and an effective decision maker as well. Sometimes uh, clients, and like I said earlier, clients are going to hand off their baby to you because they're going to be dealing with other parts of the business. So you want to make sure that because you're given that responsibility, you have to think on your feet. And if there's anything that needs to be decided on, you have to make sure that you're doing that in the best interest of the business. So really important that you guys are able to understand that and be able to quickly make a decision when necessary, because that's what the clients need you to do. And lastly, just love for continuous learning. I think it's very important to love what you do. And no matter what job you have, no matter what experience you have, you're never going to stick into one uh, area or one lane if you're not enjoying the journey. So eventually, you are going to get tired of it. You are going to um, look elsewhere to find that happiness. And so you want to make sure, if you are going to be a virtual assistant, you have to make sure you're looking into what it is that the client is doing. You have to make sure that you love what you're doing. You're going into something that you would really enjoy. So that's what makes a good virtual assistant. And again, guys, I did go over some of the topics that I'm going to discuss, but you are welcome to send in any questions that you might have. I'll be more than happy to answer them here today. We are live, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time with you guys. So don't be shy, comment down below, and I'll get to them as soon as I'm done with every question that's here on my presentation. So moving on, what roles are available? So again, there are a lot of different things that you can do as a virtual assistant. Like I said earlier, one common virtual assistant would be the general virtual assistant, who does a lot of the most basic things that you do in a business. Again, that's data entry, admin support, email management, and handling the social media of the business, a lot of those different things. Also, when it comes to being a virtual assistant, there are certain roles that need a little bit more expertise, such as graphic design and content creation. Most of the time, businesses would love to dabble into social media and just getting their business out there. And so, in order for them to do that, some of them aren't able to do that, so they hire a virtual assistant to help them with that area. So they have to have some sort of experience when it comes to either Adobe Premiere or Adobe Photoshop. So a lot of different tools that are related to that role. Next is a virtual assistant that does bookkeeping. So this is more in line with the accounting background. Some clients would prefer to have uh, their virtual assistants to have some sort of accounting experience. That way they can help with the numbers. Because again, not a lot of people are really good with their accounting skills. So it's really important to have someone who is knowledgeable with accounting. And lastly, a video editor. So again, lots of clients would love to have their products be advertised in a way that's very creative, and they would prefer someone who is creative, who has a creative mind. And some of those would be more suited, or that role would be more suited to someone who is knowledgeable with video editing, when it comes to using tools like, again, Adobe Premiere, and a bunch of other tools as well. And yeah, that's pretty much the available roles that we have. Next is the common tools for VA. So we've gotten a lot of questions about this from VA or people who aren't even VAs, because they're curious about what we do in the Freedom Geek. And most of our clients are UK based, so they are kind of curious as to what the UK clients use when it comes to their tools. And I'm going to tell you now, it doesn't really matter what kind. There's not a specific tool that British clients have. It's pretty much the same thing anywhere you go, whether you've been a VA for an Australian client or a US client. They're pretty much going to do the same thing. But these are the most common for each category when it comes to different tasks. So for property related responsibilities and tasks, some of them would use Arthur Online. With accounting and bookkeeping, they would use Xero. For social media or social media content, rather, they are going to use a lot of different tools, but mainly the one would be Canva, as it is very customizable. And the next one would be project management. So there are a lot of different tools that you can use. We use Asana because it's definitely something that has helped us tremendously when it comes to the day-to-day responsibilities here at the Freedom Geek. And there's Trello and Monday.com. Lastly, admin tasks, Google Suite. And I feel like a lot of people have dealt with Google Suite, and everyone loves Google Suite because it's just pretty much it does everything. It has a lot of everything that we need, especially when it comes to running a business. So those are the most common tools that you're going to be using. And for someone who may not have any experience with some of these, especially when it comes to social media content, project management, admin tasks, I feel like you guys should definitely go ahead and try them out. Do your own research, especially when you don't have experience with them, because it helps with your application. Uh, Submitting your resume, if you're not able to highlight some of the tools, skills, it's definitely not gonna go in your favor, but it definitely is not gonna hinder you from becoming a virtual assistant. But again, researching these tools, researching how to use them will definitely help your chances of getting a client. Yes, Asana is the best. Okay, so a lot of people have asked this. So, do I need to take a virtual assistant course, or do I need to take virtual assistant courses? And I'm sure you guys, for the people who are aspiring to be VAs, I'm sure you've done the research, or you've searched a lot of virtual assistant courses. And when you do, the algorithm, basically Google, Facebook, the internet's gonna cater to your previous search, and they're gonna just show you a lot of different ads about courses and all that. And I'm sure you've seen all of them. One thing that is definitely a fact: you don't need to go through virtual assistant courses, although it helps. Obviously, it's going to help you because virtual assistant courses are going to, lead you to the best direction possible when it comes to learning these different tools. They are going to have some application. They are going to test you when it comes to using or doing some of the VA tasks that clients would ask you to do. So definitely those would help. And they are going to give you some certification when it comes to these types of courses. So that's going to help your profile as well. But overall, it is an option, but it's not the end all be all. Again, everything's free if you know where to look. So yeah, YouTube is our friend, Google's our friend, the internet is our friend. I think when it comes to just picking where you're gonna get your resources, you have to think: can I afford, or is investing in courses something that is feasible for me, or do I just have to look at the best courses that are free on the internet? It's kind of like, let me use this analogy. It's kind of like going through a thrift store, or in the Philippines, it's called ukay ukay. So, the best pieces you can find in the ukay ukay, you can find the best pieces when you're patient. And that's essentially what you have to be. You have to be patient in finding the right resources on the internet to help you become the best virtual assistant. Or if you have money, just spend on a virtual assistant course. That'll make it a lot easier. All right. And then the most as well, these are some of the things that we get a lot in our Facebook group, is that a lot of people send applications left and right. They do all that they can do to make sure that their resume is great. They apply as to many VA companies as possible, but at the end of the day, they keep getting rejected. And so there are a lot of different reasons as to why that is. And I'm sure a lot of people have, gone through that. They've submitted their applications hoping to be part of a certain company, only to be rejected at the end. And so there are a lot of different things as to why that happens. But I am going to go through some of the most common ones on our experience with the Freedom League. So it has a lot to do with when it comes to like submitting your resume and just doing all the application necessities that we have. So one thing that we look for in a resume is your correct contact details. So that includes your email, your phone number, and you also have to make sure that you're showing your photo. That way we know, in terms of just identifying your identity, that can be confirmed easily when it comes to you submitting your IDs, and then we have your picture on your resume, it checks out, then that's pretty much a go on our end. Work experiences, really important that you guys are able to show the details of your previous work experience. And I'm not just talking about the length of stay that you had there, or your employment period rather, but also the job description. Because once you're just putting like the company, or rather your role and the employment period, that's not going to really make sense to us because we don't know what your previous job entailed. So you want to make sure you provide that just so that we have a good understanding of what you've been through and what you've experienced. Um, Tools and applications of use, definitely useful for us to know where we can delegate you to a specific client. It's really important that you show what tools that you've used before, because we have clients that would request for someone who knows maybe Shopify or Google Suite, Google Sheets, Google Docs, Excel. So lots of clients can, some clients can be a bit picky when it comes to people who have certain experience on certain tools. So it would really help if you guys can highlight that in your resume. Interpersonal and intrapersonal skills, definitely something that we want to see in your resume. Make sure to always highlight those. That way we get a sense of your personality, of course. And with that, your whole resume should be in PDF form or format. It's kind of hard for us if it's a Word document, because we have to download it instead of just being able to view it in Asana. So you want to make sure that it's in a PDF file. So we just redirect it to a different tab when we view it. And lastly, and probably the most important thing, try not to add any unnecessary information. Fun facts are great, but I think that should be left, or that should be mentioned maybe in your interview or maybe an intro video if you're going to be required to submit that. But here, yes, we do require an intro video. But basically, yes, try not to add any unnecessary information apart from what we've already mentioned that are necessary. Next, I'm going to move into the intro video. So we've also had a lot of questions that ask, why do we need to submit intro videos? So when it comes to intro videos, this is not just for the recruitment team, but also for the clients that are going to view your profile. So this is really important, because apart from you submitting your resume, it's also really important for them to hear you explain your own experiences as well. It's kind of like reading a book and watching the movie version of that book. You have to make sure that everything checks out. And if it doesn't, well then, some book readers are gonna hate it when their favorite book's adapted to a movie. So it's kind of like that. If you Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yes, definitely submit your intro videos. And one of the things that you have to be is obviously professional. Some people go for like super casual videos, and that's fine. But I think there's a certain limit, or a certain bar where you don't, go over it. So you want to make sure you're friendly. You want to make sure that you're approachable, but all at the same time being professional. Apart from that, you have to have high energy. You don't want to record your videos with a very monotonous voice, and you don't want to sound like you're dead inside, right? Because you're applying for a job, you're applying for a new job, you want to sound excited. So make sure you do sound excited. And again, this is an intro. This is a video that you're going to record. It's not going to be live like this. So you have all the time in the world to take multiple takes until you get the right one. So make sure you make the time, or you take the time to record those videos. Some things that we really appreciate is a clear background. Sometimes, again, we are going to show this to clients, so you want to make sure your background is clean. Some videos we've seen, they're either outside, they're walking, and probably the one awkward or I guess weird video that I've seen was someone recording their uh, intro video to like in a jeepney. So that's, it's not the most professional setting. It's not the most professional thing you can do. So just make sure to have a clear background. Also, you want to make sure, you want to make sure that you're sitting or just being in a great environment to record a video. With a great environment comes great audio, which means silence. So try your best to have a video an environment that's quiet. It's really distracting if there's like some buzzing noise or any distracting background noise in your intro video. So yeah, just try to make sure that you're using some sound canceling software in your laptop or in your phone, or whatever it is that you're doing or using rather when you're recording your intro video. Next, pure English. So it's really important that you speak English in these intro videos. Again, you are going to be paired up with a client that works in the UK. So if you are going to speak in Tagalog or Bisaya or whatever language apart from English, probably not going to understand you. So you want to make sure you're speaking pure English. And again, this is a video, so if you mess up with grammar, you always have the option to redo it as many times as you need to. And lastly, the most important thing in the intro video is highlighting your experiences and your skills. Apart from showing your personality and showing your identity, you also want to make sure you highlight some of the experiences that you've had and make sure to highlight why that makes you or why your experiences make you an exceptional candidate. I think that's the most important thing you can do in the intro video, and that's why it's really important. Awesome. So apart from the intro video and the resume, when it comes to our application form, we ask you for your character references. Some people would avoid sending their character references before they're hired, and unfortunately, uh, most of the reasons would be because of privacy, or they want to make sure they get hired first before sending out character references. And we've gone through a couple applications with that mindset or with that setting, and unfortunately that's not going to work, because in order for us to be able to hire you, we have to make sure we are able to contact your character references to see everything that you say checks out with them. And it's also important for us to have 3 character references so that we have different perspectives from each of them. And the best character references that you can use would be your colleagues from work or school, your professor, your supervisor or your team lead, your HR manager, and if you've gone through college and you went through your OJT, you can use your OJT manager. Now, do remember to ask your preferred character references that you are going to use them in your resume or in your application, so that when we do contact them, they're not surprised as to why we're contacting them. So really important things or character references to avoid. Do not use your family, or say for instance your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, because again, we want to make sure we contact people who are at a professional level, and we want to make sure again we get an unbiased opinion, unbiased perspective of who you are. So again, try not to use any of those examples. Again, your family isn't a good character reference, and so many others. So you want to make sure you use these specifically. And lastly, your portfolio and essays. Really important that when you go through our application form, we do have specific questions that we need you to answer. Sometimes people don't really answer them in full, so we usually ask people to have at least 50 words in the responses. Some might send out 1-word responses, and obviously that's not going to work. So for instance, one of the questions that we have is what's the greatest achievement you've had in your previous work experiences? The funniest response I got was I got hired. So obviously not something that would work or would tell us about who you are. So you want to make sure you expand on that, or at least expand on some achievements that you've had before, with your essays at least. Portfolio is really good. You want to make sure if you are a creative, that you are able to share some of your work, because that's going to matter when it comes to, again, a client who's looking for someone creative. They also want to look at some of the work you've done previously. So that's really important. Also, when it comes to sharing your intro vid, I just remembered this. So when you're sharing your intro video link and your portfolio link, please make sure that's a shareable link, because sometimes when we go through the process of checking your profile, when we check your intro video, we don't have access to it, and we check your portfolio, we also don't have access to it. So it's kind of hard to assess your capabilities of being a virtual assistant if you're not able to follow that instruction. And we usually highlight that in the PDF infographic that we send you when you're trying to apply. So again, make sure to not forget to have that shareable link. Cool. And that's pretty much it for that topic. Again, guys, we are the Freedom Geek, and we're currently hiring. So if you want to start your work from home journey, please make sure to click on this link down below. And before joining or before sending your application, if you guys aren't really confident with your skills yet, or you want to learn a lot more about being a virtual assistant, then head on over to our Facebook group where we have a lot of resources that are free. So make sure to take advantage of them. And again, once you're ready to apply, then head on over to the application form. Okay, so moving on to the next topic is the interview. So we've also gotten a lot of questions about interviews, especially, um, some people don't really do well with interviews, and obviously because they get really nervous, they get really intimidated by the people that they're speaking to, and just overall, it's an experience that not a lot of people like because they're put in a situation where they have to, present who they are, or highlight or sell themselves, basically. So that can be hard for a lot of people. Sorry, I was reading the comments. So one of the things that you should always do, and by the way, I have discussed this in our Facebook group when it comes to passing your interviews, and I go into uh, sort of a lengthy discussion on that. So again, make sure to join the Facebook group. I'm not gonna get tired of plugging that in today. So anyway, one of the things that you should be is to be knowledgeable, right? When you're interviewing for a certain client or for a certain company or whatever you're applying for, you want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. So researching really helps. And when you do your research and you're being asked about, again, the company, the client, the business that you're wanting to be a part of, you can then answer confidently because you've done your research. So make sure you do your research. That way, you have more confidence in yourself to be able to sell yourself because you know what you would possibly be doing. Next is being presentable. So most of these interviews, as a virtual assistant, you are going to be doing these interviews virtually. And although you're at home, you don't want to look like you're wearing the usual stuff you wear at home. You don't want to be wearing like a tank top. You don't want to be wearing your PJs when you're doing the interview. So still make sure that you are presentable. So am I still live? Hello. So I guess I'm back. I did lose connection. Am I still here? Oh, somebody please let me know if I'm live. Okay, I think I'm still live. So sorry guys for the technical difficulties. And yeah, pretty common as a virtual assistant. You are going to lose internet connection, so you want to make sure you have a good backup. Um, and that's also for me, advice for me as well. So where was I? So yeah, make sure you're presentable. Make sure that you are at least wearing a polo or a decent shirt when you're doing your interview. That way, again, you look professional. You are someone who is prepared. You're someone who looks like you really want this job. So make sure you do so. Yes, you are back. Thank you for confirming. Also, one of the things that we want you to be is to be on time. So when you are scheduled for a specific interview, let's say you schedule yourself at 6 a.m. I don't know why you would schedule yourself at 6 a.m., but sure, do you. But you want to be in the Zoom link or whatever interview link that you'll be given 10 minutes before. So that means 5:50. The reason for that is because you want to avoid instances like me, for instance, losing my internet connection and being able to provide a backup plan or a backup connection. So always make sure that you get in the time or get in the interview link 10 minutes before your schedule. And sometimes that is going to be a huge, or not sometimes, it's going to be a huge plus for your application when you do arrive on time, because we know that you're someone, again, who is very timely and who would really like this job. Second is showcasing your confidence. And part of that is, again, being knowledgeable or being able to do your research, also being presentable and being on time. Other times when when you do all these three things, sometimes it may not be enough because a lot of things go into your head, and that makes you nervous, that crumples your confidence, and not be able to do your best when it comes to showcasing your skills and being able to sell yourself. One thing that I've learned in my years of being in the recruitment side of things is that people really do well in interviews when they know they have something to offer. So, in your case, again, being able to do your research or having some sort of experience with whatever job you've had before, you want to make sure you want to make sure you sell that to the client that you're interviewing for. It's really, I feel like putting yourself in the mindset where instead of you wishing to or hoping that you get the job, I think you have to have that mindset where you are able to provide something or be able to help with help a certain company. Being able to provide a certain service, and then seeing if that offer would stick or would be interesting for them. I think thinking of it as a partnership deal instead of a job interview would really help, I guess, your psyche, again, when it comes to your approach in terms of doing the whole interview. Again, the whole point of the interview is for us to get to know you, as well as seeing what your potential will be. And so you want to make sure you have that confidence. You want to have that businessman like or businesswoman like demeanor, and again, offering your services instead of asking for a job. Although, both of those things are present in an interview, but I think the latter should weigh more than the asking for a job part. So that's how you show confidence, or at least that helps you when it comes to gaining confidence in an interview. Next is answering the question. So there are three methods that I personally have used in an interview before, and I feel like that would help you as well. So most questions that are going to be asked in your interview are going to be situational or behavioral questions, tailor-fitting questions, and common questions. Like, where do you live? What do you do for fun? What did you like about your previous work experience? Blah blah blah. So when you are asked a behavioral or situational question, you always want to be able to provide examples. So, for instance, let's say you worked in the BPO industry. Most of the time, people coming from that industry handle customer service. So people, or an interview would ask you, so what makes a great customer service? Or can you share an experience where you've given someone great customer service? So you want to make sure you provide a specific example to that question. So one method I use is CAR. So CAR means content, action, and result. So what I'm no, I'm sorry, not content, context. So what I mean by context is you want to make sure you provide the necessary information before heading into the real story. So say for instance you work for this company, you had this role, and this is what you would usually do. So that's one, or so that's an example of your context. So once you're able to go through your context, then you proceed to your example, and would definitely be about the exact sample that you're gonna give, the story of how you were able to behave in that specific situation. So that's gonna fall under your action, which is A. So you wanna highlight the things that you did, um, how you were able to manage that specific situation, and then go through your R, which is the resolution or the result of your action. So by using CAR, I feel like that'll be a lot easier for you to answer those situational behavior questions. Again, it's all about providing examples. Same thing with set. So a lot of times you're going to be asked about what you can bring to the table, how can you help a client with your English or specific skill in your resume. What's your most contributing factor? Those questions mean the same thing, and that's highlighting what your best skill is or what your strength is. So again, it's kind of like car, but more so centered on highlighting your skill. And so S means skill. So you highlight your skill. So what are you good at? I'm good at speaking in English. I'm good at data entry. I'm good at email management, blah, blah, blah. And then again, you provide an example to that. You explain how you were able to use that before in your previous work experience, and then tailor fitting that to what you're applying for now, which is being a virtual assistant. So let's say your best skill is data entry. You've used that before in your previous job as a VA as well, and now that you're applying for the same thing, it's going to be a no-brainer for you. You are still going to be able to use that experience with this current business or this client. So those two methods are going to be very useful for you in those interviews. And lastly, kiss. And I feel like this is a very common method, which is keeping it short and simple. One of the things that you can do in an interview is to make sure that the conversation is free flowing. So you want to make sure you have those not quick responses. You don't want to give out short responses, but make sure that they're concise. So make sure to do so. And if you do have follow up questions, then you can elaborate on that more. The one thing that you want to avoid is to have lengthy responses, because that can also hurt your chances of getting the job if you're not able to organize your thoughts well. And same thing with time management. Again, it's part of being concise, being able to elaborate and shorten your answers at the same time. So that takes a lot of skill, and with gaining skill, you have to practice for it. All right, so we've talked a lot of different things at the 40-minute mark. Hopefully, you guys are still with me. You guys are still listening. And again, if you have any questions, make sure to drop them on the comments below. I will be reading them shortly. So let's move on. So let's try to go through the don'ts when doing an interview. So one of the things that you want to avoid is starting off with disclaimers. So what do I mean by that? It's basically telling the interviewer that. So let's say the interviewer asks you, hey, how's it going? How are you feeling right now? You say, oh, I'm nervous. This is my first time doing an interview. I don't know what to say. I am probably not going to do well. So believe it or not, I've gone through interviews where people say that in the beginning of the interview. So they don't really start very strong. So you want to make sure you avoid that. And although you're nervous, don't let the person you're speaking to know. Because either way, we are going to know. But the difference is you don't acknowledge it. And for the people who do acknowledge it are going to have they're going to have a lot more trouble when it comes to going through the interview. Whereas for someone who doesn't admit it and proceeds to doing the interview without the disclaimer, they do a lot better because they are trying to be confident. They're trying to present themselves very well. Next is being too stiff. I think that comes with being nervous. So loosen yourself up. Try not to, really squeeze your armpits together, or sorry, your elbows, and not exposing your armpits. So you want to make sure you're not doing that. One word responses, also not a good thing. You want to make sure you're elaborating on your points. Don't script your answers, even though you are doing this virtually. Do not have a piece of paper with possible questions and possible answers. We are gonna know because your line of your eyesight is gonna be very obvious. So make sure to not have a script with you, or try to at least not have a script at all or memorize any answers. Again, you want to make sure that you're very organic with your responses. And lastly, don't oversell yourself. And what I mean by that is do not say something that you're not really capable of. So let's say, for example, the interviewer asks you if you're good at Excel. You say yes. How would you rate yourself? You say 10. But in reality, you are in an intermediate level of knowing what Excel is, and you don't know how to use VLOOKUP or pivot tables. So if you're gonna set yourself up for failure if you're able to do that, and let's say we present you to a client that does need someone who is an expert in Excel, you're not going to be able to deliver, and at the end of the day, you are going to lose your job. So again, do not oversell yourself, and it's kind of like saving you at the same time, because let's say you do sell a particular skill that you're really good at, then we'll be able to profile you there. Yeah. Okay. So so we're pretty much at the last topic of my presentation here, and that is new job anxiety. So when people get the job, of being a virtual assistant, they sometimes get a little anxious. And I think all of us do get anxious when we're in a new environment, we're in a new job, where we're dealing with new responsibilities, and just new everything. And when you are working from home, some people live alone. Some people are just by themselves, and some of them may have come from a background or a particular experience where they're surrounded by a team. They're surrounded by people that they know, that they can easily ask help with if they needed anything. Now they're just doing it with their laptop alone in their room. So that gives it, and to top it all off, you're again given tasks that are new to you. You're still going to learn about them, and you're given an expectation, or rather, specific deadlines for you to finish all those tasks. So that could be nerve wracking for most people. And I feel like the one thing that kind of hinders them from doing their best is because they're not communicating. So one of the things that I've learned as a virtual assistant is to be able to communicate whatever it is that you're feeling to your client. And I have this particular experience with my boss, again, Imogen. Shout out to Imogen if you're watching. Hello. So we've talked a few times when it comes to dealing with a particular task, and I've expressed um, some of the things that I have worries about or that I'm not really confident with. And to my surprise, she's actually the most reassuring person um, in that specific meeting. She told me that this is something that I can easily do, and if I need time, just ask me, ask Rachel, my other workmate, and also Gio, my other BA friend. So yeah, she was very reassuring, and I feel like if you guys have anxiety, if you guys are worried about the job that you're handling right now, talk to your boss, talk to your client. I think even your mom would not be as reassuring as your client, because again, your client and you are pretty much the only people working side to side. So it's really important that you guys have each other's backs. Not just it's not just you who's gonna have her back, but also the client is as well as gonna have your back. I kind of butchered that. I'm sorry. So basically, you guys have to have each other's backs. Yeah, and so that's one way of dealing with anxiety, and I feel like that'll make you a lot or feel a lot better. Um, Other methods, I think I saw one comment in our Facebook group that says meditating. That also helps, I think. I'm not really good at that, so I can't speak about it. But try it out, see if it works for you. So I think that's pretty much it for me. That's pretty much the end of my presentation. So hopefully, guys, that made sense. And if you have any questions about everything that I've mentioned, please make sure to let me know, whether in the comments or privately. And now I'm gonna go through the comments. So I've seen a lot of chit chat on the comments here, so I want to make sure I acknowledge everyone. So hi, good evening, hello. Okay, so there's this one question. Hi, I'm used to working with other people, so I just wanted to ask, how do you handle anxiety working from home? Do you just get used to it? Um, yes. So when it comes to, for me, for instance, I've had experience in the BPO. I've been in the BPO for about 5 years now, and I love the culture that I had with that specific company. And one of the things that I was really afraid of is losing that culture, just the feeling of having people around, and transitioning to a virtual assistant. That kind of, it gave a lot of anxiety to me as well, because I'm not gonna be able to ask help right away because no one's around me. I have to message people to ask for help. And one of the things that you have to really improve on as well is your way of communicating. Sometimes when you type a certain message, it doesn't reflect what you really mean. It might come off something as different to the person you're speaking to. So you want to make sure you watch for that as well. And again, that's pretty anxiety inducing when you think about it. But at the end of the day, you are a virtual assistant for a reason. You considered being a virtual assistant for a reason. I guess that's up to you on what that reason is. So you want to make sure you remind yourself of that. Why did you become a virtual assistant in the first place? And over time, you are going to get used to it. And if you are able to establish a good working relationship with your teammates, with the people that you work with, whether it be a few other VAs or just your client, it'll feel a lot better. And also, when you're working from home, I think it gives you a lot of opportunities to invest your time in something else, not just in, I think again the main reason why people, or one of the main reasons why people become a virtual assistants, they want to cut off the commute time, right? Most of people who go become a VA have spent their entire life traveling to their previous work. So right now, since you don't have that time anymore, or uh, you have that time with you now, you want to make sure you find something that you really enjoy doing. Maybe spending time with your family, with your friends, partying, maybe adopting that dog that you wanted for a really long time, but you were afraid that you wouldn't be able to take care of it because you don't have time. Now you do. So whatever that is, have occupy that time with that specific thing that you want to do, and I feel like that'll make you feel a lot better, and make you want to be a virtual assistant for as long as you can. Um, all right, so hopefully I answered your question. I don't really know what your name is. It just says Facebook user. So whoever you are, hopefully I answered that and that was useful. Good morning to you, Ed Dilberto Navarra. Facebook user says the sauna is the best. Yes, it is. An honor to be here, sir. Pleasure's mine. Honor to for you to watch my live. Okay, so one question said hi. Oh, sorry. I think this is Geo answering that specific question. Yes. Still get dressed as if I'm at the real office. Yeah, that also works. Getting used to it. Setting the alarm to take breaks. Yes, that is also true. And getting sunshine. Yes, going outside again. Spending more time with or spending time on things that you enjoy doing that you didn't have time before. Another question. What would you say is the best part of being a virtual assistant? I'm still a bit nervous about making the switch from the typical office work. Um, like I said, you have more time to do pretty much anything you want. For me, for instance, when I transitioned to being a virtual assistant, I've had more time to dance, and I'm a dancer. And one of the things that I am really sad about when I joined the BPO company was I wasn't able to invest my skill and my talent as much because I had to work, because I had to, feed myself. So right now I'm able to do that because I have all the time in the world. I don't have to travel. The only thing I travel to is the dance studio and the friends that I dance with. So yes, that is what I enjoy the most. And so again, whatever it is that you enjoy doing, you have more time for it now if you become a virtual assistant. So yeah. Um, Thanks, Reg. I've learned a lot. Well, thank you so much for confirming that. And yes, I appreciate, and I'm glad to be able to um, have you learn stuff from me. um, yeah, I think. Do you guys have any more questions? You're very welcome. I'll give you guys maybe 1 minute to comment any more questions if you want to. Gosh, I'm sweating. That was really tough, and hopefully, I was able to deliver the message and everything that I've said clearly. I guess that's it. No more questions. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really enjoyed being able to help some of you, if not all, to be able to make that switch or to at least ease your anxiety if you're already a virtual assistant. Um, and again, if you guys want to have or take advantage of our free resources, make sure to visit our Facebook page right here. Geo, do your thing, paste the Facebook group in YouTube or LinkedIn, wherever you are. But yeah, this is the Facebook group. Also, if you are then able to finish all the resources that we have, and if you feel like you're ready to apply, then click the link right here. Awesome. Okay, and I guess that is it for me, guys. Thank you so much for again tuning in. We're gonna have another live session soon, so make sure to tune in. We are gonna let you know through again our Facebook group, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So see you guys around, and thank you. Have a great night.